computers here. Guess we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Well, good morning, all you difference makers out there, chief expansion officers of your own companies. Welcome to our Difference Makers morning call, embracing all lines of sponsorship within our Magic family. We are grateful this call started by our dear friend and biggest difference maker, Sam Michael, for the purpose of encouraging us to believe in ourselves and to build a successful Magic business. The thoughts, ideas, and expressions on this call are by third-party, independent, and Magic distributors. They are not the views of Enagic USA. For a complete list of rules and compliance matters, please visit enagic.com. Remember, whatever is said pertaining to Kangen water must not be taken as a health or medical claim. We make no such claims. Kangen water does not treat, diagnose, or cure anything. Bodies heal themselves when given the proper tools, and Kangen water simply empowers the immune system, helps the body to remove acid waste, reduce oxidation on a cellular level, and assist the body to do what it's intended to do, which is heal itself. And with that, good morning, Mr. Sam Michaels. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Wade. I'm doing fantastic. We're so excited to have Lynn on today after the whirlwind event. I tell you, Facebook is lit up and so many lives changed. I'm with the rest of you. Can't wait to bring Lynn out. How are you doing, Wade?
Excellent, buddy. That's same. I was just thinking the same thing. There's probably not enough water out there to put that fire out, and that's a good thing.
Amen. Let's get started talking about Earl Tepper's party plan. The most successful men have used seemingly failures as stepping stones to better things. The difference makers, when you fail or don't make it, do you panic or do you learn from that mistake and keep moving? While he was still in his teens, Earl Tepper began a small business selling fruits and vegetables to his neighbors. He was good at it and learned quickly about the finer points of salesmanship. This was a big asset to Tepper when years later he began a new business. That enterprise started in 1945 was a line of plastic containers that he dubbed Tupperware. At first, Tepper used a conventional method of marketing his products through retail stores, but after 5 years of mediocre sales, he began to envision a new plan for action. As you hear this, difference makers, why don't you think of a different way to sell an adjective? Mr. Rose quoted many times as saying the best way or the best people to move the company forward has probably not come along yet as great as some of our people are. Recalling his earlier days when he sold produce directly to housewives, Tepper decided to try this same direct approach to selling Tupperware. It was 1950 when Tepper began selling his plastic containers directly to the people who would use them the most. He invited people into homes and demonstrated the product. Sales were good, better than they had been in retail, and it was clear that the approach had considerable promise. However, it was also clear that Tepper could not sell enough product by himself, so he arranged for housewives to become Tupperware dealers. They could hold parties at friends' houses, and each hostess would receive gifts. The housewives would have a part-time income while maintaining the freedom to take their children to school and the other household chores. By 1954, Tupperware had a network of 9,000 dealers across the United States. Sales eventually spread to Europe, and today Tupperware is found in kitchen cabinets around the world. Consider this, a product alone is not enough. You must devise a plan to sell your product, sometimes with a unique method to your customers. So what did Mr. O do when he came up with the idea? He admitted with Sony, selling Sony products in stores. That was his expertise, his background. He chose not to do that with Magic, because we're all here today because of the choice he made. But just a little more here, Chris Wilder's book, Live the Life You Have Always Dreamed Of. We're getting closer to the end. But the financial equation that will set you free. I have a good friend who works in an area of the U.S. that has more than its share of poverty. He called me the other day with a very broken heart. He was feeling badly for the people around him who simply do not allow themselves to get set free financially. I could feel the pain he was feeling because I, too, very often wonder why it is that some people experience financial independence and others do not. It really is a mystery. But how to get financial independence is not a mystery. Rather, financial independence is a very simple thing. Truly, it is hard work. It takes time. But the process is very simple. In fact, financial independence can come from following a very simple plan. All the books on financial independence can ultimately be boiled down to this basic equation. It is an equation that is as simple as it gets. In fact, it isn't even a multiplication problem. It is an additional equation. And we all learned this powerful quote in the first grade: just as 1 plus 1 equals 2, so does this powerful yet simple equation add up to your financial independence. What is the equation? Get ready. Your life is about to change forever if you will allow yourself to understand and live by the simplicity of this equation. Here it is. Smart decisions plus good math equal financial independence. Smart decisions plus good math equal financial independence. Let's break it down and take a closer look. First, a smart decision, then the good math. Smart decisions: go to college, get educated. I know that somebody will say, yeah, but most of the people on the Forbes 400 never finished high school. Well, so did most of the people in the welfare line. Most people aren't Bill Gates or Sam Walton, but most people who earn between $100,000 and $150,000 a year are college graduates. But I'm 40. I can't go to college. Yes, you can. You'll be 44 when you get out and have 21 years of income to earn. The fact is that most good jobs and careers go to those who have educated themselves. It is still the surest way to a long-term, large income. Still don't want to go to college? See the last item under smart decisions. I got a comment on that. You know, the world keeps changing our country, and now you're hearing more and more, is it that smart to go to college all those years? I love to listen to Dave Ramsey when I'm in the car at night, and he's on it. 80% of the people paying off debt have got in trouble. A couple last night owed $90,000, paid it off in 15 months. $65,000 were college debt, and most of them were working jobs that their college degree didn't help them get. Some of them were, a lot of them had got in sales. So that's just something to think about. You know, we all grown up to encourage our kids, whatever you do, go to college. And I'm sure not saying it's bad, but if you find something you believe in and get some expertise, it's just amazing how much college debt, and the government's changed it now. When you die, somebody's going to pay that college debt off. You can never write it off. So just something else to think about. Get better traded, at the very least, to get traded in your specific area of expertise. The promotions will go to those who are the best trained. So become the best trained. Take a course even if your employer won't pay for it, because eventually they will pay you for it. Work hard. I have found that the many hundreds of high achievers who I know personally who have becoming financially independent are hard workers. Every one of them works long hours. They sacrifice for the security they are shooting for, they have attained. I know we all get advertisements that say financial independence is 10 hours a week. Let me ask you, do you know anybody like that? I don't, not a one. Even the success stories you hear in the get-rich-quick industry show you that they worked hard to get there. Develop your success. Become a better person. Better people get better jobs and get paid better dollars. Make sure that every day you are becoming a person who is on the growth track, raising yourself to a higher and higher level with each and every passing day. Eventually, your development will catch up with you and your income will soar. Stay out of debt. This is a smart decision you will ever make. No debt. You know what? I have one bill I have to pay every month. That's my mortgage. But that's the debt, right? Well, without getting into an argument, I consider a forced investment with the added benefit of provided shelter for my family and me. I do not consider mortgage a debt. I am talking about big car payments, stereos, etc., and consumer debts of all kinds. It is possible, it can be done, but it will provide you with financial freedom. Own your own business if you can. It's people we're looking for. So you don't want to go to college, okay, or maybe you did go to college and you just want to make sure that you earn as much as you can or extra money. Well, the smart decision is to own your own business. Most millionaires in America are the people who own their own business. It will take a lot of risk, a lot of work, and many ups and downs, but owning your business gives you the opportunity to accumulate great wealth because of profits you earned. Excuse me. There are plenty of opportunities to own your own business, and I would encourage you to strongly consider the alternative for many reasons, one of the best of which is the opportunity to achieve financial independence. Difference makers, we're in a market now. So many people are looking for what we have. In our paper the last month, every other weekend, this week it had policemen, sheriff's deputies, all moonlight, working other jobs. Week before last, the headlines was 55% of people working 2 and 3 jobs. People don't want to cut their standard of living, and I'm convinced they're waiting on us to call them, and many of them do not have a clue how our industry works. And some of us that's been in a long time need to really be aware when we're talking to people about what we're talking about, not only about how the machine works and all of that goodness, but about how this industry works. Just if you find it, if you are training them, and with our training is better than ever. So anyway, we'll pick up here tomorrow. Back to you, Wade. Let's get Miss Lynn out.
And that is so good, Sam. Earl Tuppers, I love that. Tupperware. Boy, if anybody doesn't know what Tupperware is, you missed a great era, I'll tell you what. And men and women alike love Tupperware, and I used to attend all those Tupperware parties and stuff, Sam. So thank you. And I never was a Tupperware dealer, guys. But I love Tupperware as a single bachelor guy. I love that stuff. Anyways, guys, it doesn't get any better than today. I'll tell you what, guys. Today is Miss Lynn Gardner. She is Living Waters Farm in Virginia. She just came off of a huge event, and as Sam was talking, if you go into Facebook, there's nothing else on there but this event. I'm telling you, what a wonderful event you had. Good morning, Miss Lynn. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Wade. Good morning, Sam. I couldn't be any better. I'm in recovery mode, but I'm flying high, I can tell you that. It was an amazing event, and I love what you said. It take a lot of water to put that fire out. That's so true. I'm still flying high. It was unbelievable. But, I'm already, I am in recovery mode. You can't imagine. It's one thing to go through the effort and the planning to get yourself to an event, and it's another thing to put forth what you need to do to plan an event and to host an event. It's a whole different story when it's that where the place you live, right? So it's like crazy. But I'm already trying to set a plan in motion for the work that I need to do beginning right now for the very next one. I just never stop, right? The event, I have to tell you, in more ways than one. It was just incredible. It was more than I expected, more than I dreamed of, and I learned so much. We had Friday, Anna Gallman came in from California, Southern California. She's has kind of migrated into being an environmental consultant, and she shared with us on Friday great lessons. And Remy came in, surprised us, and said, "Hey, would you like me to train on Saturday?" Which was a welcome surprise, and we shuffled the schedule. And he was on fire. I'm going to tell you right now, we got some rich lessons we received, from that incredibly humble leader. He didn't care where you drove to, the Ritz-Carlton or a barn in Virginia. He's just ready to serve. What an example he is. This event was, and it didn't come without lots and lots and lots of adversity. We can battle adversity, but we can be born through adversity, and I always choose to do the latter. We had one of our team members that was so eager, she really did, kept volunteering to help. But I found myself declining her offer over and over and over again, as much as we needed, right? Partly because there wasn't a whole lot she could do physically. there was a whole lot of physical labor to do to get this ready. She really couldn't contribute in that way. But more than that, she's a warrior, and she speaks negative thoughts. What are we going to do? Oh, my goodness, what's going to happen if this is, the sky is falling, and wringing her hands. Even though I ask her, please, don't speak those words to me. Don't, I don't want to hear your worry, right? Even though I kept asking her, please don't speak those words, she kept them coming. I mean, she was like an arsenal of them, right? So I finally said, listen, I'm not a worrier, I'm a warrior. And if you can't accept that, stop speaking that, you have to get away from me. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? But it's not harsh. When you're in the midst of adversity, you can make that decision. Do I want to worry about it, or do I want to be a warrior through it? And I need to be a warrior. So at the end of our training, it was pretty cool. We had several of the folks that came from the barn found their way to the front porch, because that's where I usually share my heart, right? It's so beautiful there. And we got to enjoy fellowship and, the rocking chairs and the deer that they came out in full swing, so everybody could see that that's a real thing around here, right? And we saw beautiful sunsets. And one evening, someone was asking me about my journey. How did I find my way here, right? They knew I was a real estate auctioneer for 18 years. So I kind of started at the beginning. I shared my journey of my career, my work up until this point. And God knows it was filled with adversity. And so I never miss an opportunity to share those things. I'm not a whiner, believe me. When you hear me share my story, I'm not kind of wanting sympathy. I'm a warrior. And so I make sure to share those things so that people can see that you can overcome anything. But, she was moved, that night. And the next day she came up to me and she said, man, it was so powerful. Thank you for sharing all that. I mean, you just revealed so much about your life. And, of course, that's always an honor for me. But she said, I could never do that. I could never survive that. And I just looked at her and said, no, you couldn't. It kind of blew her away, right? She's like, there wasn't a word of encouragement, right? So it just kind of startled her. And I said, do you know why you couldn't? And she said, why couldn't I? I said, because you're speaking that you can't do it. You speak those words, you believe those words. So if you speak that, it's not going to happen. No, you absolutely couldn't get through it with that attitude. So there's a lot to learn about adversity. So the message for you today was inspired by all of these things that I encountered, right? And it's entitled A is for Adversity. Sometimes people comment on how often I speak or I write about adversity. And I do a lot, right? But yes, I've seen a lot of adversity in my life, and I'm sure God's not finished with it yet. My life has had very deep valleys and then super high victories. And there's not a whole lot of mediocre that goes on in my life, right? God uses me up and down, right? But the main reason I focus on adversity is because everybody faces it, facing it more and more and more today, and they're going to face it more and more and more, as we get closer to the end of all, right? It's battle time, but people that, battle through it, not battle through it, but be born through it, right? So like that friend who said, I could never do that. We speak defeat, we think disaster, and that's what ends up happening. So let's talk about just a few things that can help us all to overcome and be even better through it all. How you face adversity by taking control of your attitude. You can't change those battles. You can only change how you work through those battles. So the first one is believe you can handle and overcome any situation, just like this sweet sister of mine said, I can never do that. You got to believe that you can do it. I just kept looking at adversity here and saying, no, I can't even think those thoughts. I have to think victory, victory, victory. I can't surround myself with that stuff. I know there are lots of people, probably every person on this call, you're facing some adversity. And if you're not facing it this minute, you got rid of it 5 minutes ago. So you've got to listen up and understand that you can handle and overcome. The buck stops with you. Again, you can't control necessarily. There are some situations, of course, that are exceptions, but you can't control necessarily the journey that God has for you. It's going to be filled with all kinds of stuff. But you can't hire somebody else to do the work for you. It's not like you could hire somebody and let them do hold on one second.
Sorry, we're having a little tough time hearing you. It's really going in and out, and my phone won't break in while you're talking. So I just texted you. So
okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, let me try just going off of my headset.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
When you get on a roll, girl, you're going.
That's right. That's right. Is that better, folks?
I think that's going to be better. Let's try that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
way. Okay.
Way. Excellent.
Okay, very good. So again, guys, we battle. We're going to go through battles. There's nothing you can do about that, and it's a matter of whether you're being born through it or you surrender to it. You cannot pass your problems off to somebody else. It's not somebody else's to handle. God has a journey for you, and it's going to have adversity. Adversity's got a really good, purpose in your life. But the buck does stop with you. You can't hire somebody else to do it. You can't hire somebody else to go to the gym for you, and you have the benefits, right? So you have to believe that the situation you're going through is for a purpose, and God has given you, He's already given you the power to overcome it. It's important to remember that everything that's happened in your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, are all shaping you into the person you were born to be. How can you reign if you never suffer, right? Adversity comes to bring out the very best in us, and we have to remember and realize that all the time. Failure, obstacles, adversity, all those things, as we hear every single day almost on this call, they're all ingredients to success in every area of your life, whether it's relationship with your family and your church, your business. They give you, life lessons that no lecture in the world can offer. Sam was talking about not having the education, and creating your own work environment and that sort of thing. There are lots of things that you can't learn with that certificate of a degree, right? You just can't do it. I don't have a degree, and I can tell you one thing. I wouldn't trade. You couldn't give me enough degrees, enough honorary degrees that would make up for or that I would trade for what I've learned through adversity. So we have to understand that it's coming our way, and it's going to keep coming our way, and it's got a good purpose and not a bad purpose. But the first thing we have to do is believe I can do it. I can overcome. So begin saying those affirmations to yourself. Say them, in your own mind. Speak them out, so that you act what you speak, you believe, right? And keep telling yourself. And gradually, you're going to be obeying yourself. When you say, I can do it, I can overcome, you're actually going to start believing you can. So that's number one. Believe you can handle and overcome any challenge. Number two is, believe it or not, dare to think positive. A lot of people have trouble with that, especially when they're in adversity. That's what the one friend of mine had problems with. She saw all these pieces of this event that were up in the air or weren't getting done or looked like they may not ever get done, and she couldn't think positive for anything, right? She just kept on going, kept, just throwing negative things out there. She could not do it. It's human nature to overreact, to worry, to complain. That part's a given, right? But that doesn't do one thing, does it? Instead, it causes heartache. It can cause panic attacks. When was the last time that you could ever identify you solving a problem because you worried about it? Worry has no place, right? It never has. It never will. It's your responsibility to face every piece of adversity with the right mindset and the right attitude. So you might worry and say, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money to do this. I don't have enough strength to do this. I can't save my marriage. I can't rein my kid back in. Whatever that is, you still have to have the right mindset, even though you may not think, well, I can't do it. But I think the point is you never do it. You just have to have the right mindset and the right attitude to endure. Positivity will always overcome negative. Always. You know what? I would have curled up in a ball and not functioned through this event at all if I had allowed myself to be surrounded by the warriors. What are we going to do? What's going to happen if? What if? I wouldn't have been able to endure the journey and battle my way through it so that we would have the most remarkable experience together. We have to have our lives filled with positivity. Think it, speak it, and surround yourself with it, right? And it will overcome any negative. Thoughts of everything. If you think good, you'll attract good, and it's important to note that consciously and subconsciously, we are constantly evoking the law of attraction. That's just the way it works, guys. So when you face adversity, discipline yourself. You have to discipline and take action. It's a proactive thing to say, nope, I'm not going to worry. I'm a warrior. You have to just discipline yourself to work through those things, right? So we just have to keep going and going and going. You have to take personal responsibility. You can't change the circumstances yourself necessarily. You have a role in it, of course. But, the season's going to come and the season's going to go. Sometimes the wind's going to blow, but you can change yourself. So what we sometimes fail to realize is that every experience is the result of choices and things that God would have us do and things He wants us to learn. All those things work together for good. So it's having to, to dare to think positive. Number 3 is surround yourself with warriors and not those warriors. Again, a lot of times when things happen, we want to talk to somebody, especially women. Oh, my gosh, I broke a fingernail. We want to talk to somebody. But you have to be very careful, right? You have to surround yourself with the warriors that, when you're feeling weak, they'll say, what are you talking about? Get up and go. Say the person asking me, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? That served no good purpose in this thing. And you know what? It's not a mean thing to have boundaries around your life. As Christians especially, we want to be compassionate and loving and love all people. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't mean you don't love people to set those boundaries around yourself. And that's an important thing to consider when we're facing adversity. Because, again, usually the first thing that we want to do is we're going to call somebody and get sympathy and panic. And we need to hear another voice saying, you're going to be okay or whatever. But, it can go either way. Those people could also just help us wallow in it, right? So we need to move with the right kind of people, the right caliber of people that can understand where we are spiritually and otherwise to say, come alongside us and help and not hurt. So be careful who you share your trials with. You really have to filter that through. Some of the darkest moments in my life, it was almost like I felt a little bit of the pain that Job had. I had people saying, give it up. Remember Job's wife said, curse God and die. I had people around in my world saying, you're finished, it's over, there's nothing you can do. They were trying to feed that stuff. And unfortunately, I was so beaten up and so weak for a little bit, I chewed on that until I said, wait a minute, I don't want to hear from you anymore. I love you, but you have to get away from me. I'm in battle, and I'm a warrior. I'm not a warrior, and I can overcome. Make it your priority to surround yourself with the right kind of company, and do it now. Their words and their prayers will influence your decision in a very positive way. But, don't fall into that trap of misery loves company. Don't be wallowing around and just pick up the phone and call somebody who's going to wallow with you. It serves no purpose, right? I love warriors. There's no doubt about it. And I love being with warriors. And I'm reminded of, how the Lord is referred to as a warrior. In Exodus 15, I think 3 says, the Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. He's a warrior, right? Exodus is only the second chapter of the Bible. So very early on, we hear the Lord is a warrior. And then we go to the last book of the Bible in Revelation 19. It says he's coming back. What's he coming back as? A warrior. And so I love warriors, and we're all supposed to be warriors. Every great man that God used in the Bible was first and foremost a warrior. Number 4 is let adversity be your teacher. Oftentimes when we experience hardship and adversity, and misfortunes, if you will, they can mess our lives up and turn things upside down, but we need to learn from them. What we don't realize is that they're going to come. You cannot stop them. They're going to keep on coming, right? And that they come to help us and to teach us lessons. You think a baby gets out there and, they try to walk and they fall and they try to walk and they fall and they try to walk and they fall. You think that they, don't they intuitively know that this is teaching me? I will learn to walk. You see a little kid out there getting on a bicycle, and they go out first time without training wheels, and whop, they come in bruised and scraped and everything. But it was that hard lessons of falling down or falling off that bike or whatever that taught them the lessons that they were trying to learn. But, as we grow up and grow old, we got all kinds of excuses, Brian. We don't see anything good in any of this stuff. We get tired and broken and beaten up, and we say that there's no good purpose in all of it. But let me tell you, there is a purpose, and a good one, in everything you face. They shape you into the person that you're going to be forever. Whether you'll be in this year, next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. Adversity is the greatest teacher of all. And it could possibly be the greatest gift you ever get. Why? Well, number 1, because it's free. and number 2, because we can't move forward in life and become all that we want to be, all that God intends for us to be, the success that we want to be, the good partner and the good mother and the good father and the good leadership in the church, whatever. We cannot move forward if we don't learn from those mistakes. If you seem to be facing adversity in the same kind of area of your life, and it's oftentimes we say, oh, my God, here I go again. I can't believe I'm going through this again. There's a lesson in there, folks. We don't have a God that just likes to, make us miserable. There's a lesson in it. So if you keep facing that same piece of adversity, same kind of adversity over and over in your life, you need to stop and figure out what's going on. If so, there's a huge lesson there, and you need to learn it, right? God doesn't want to keep beating you up, but it's just like the kid that keeps falling. I step up, I stand up, I fall, I stand up, I fall. Eventually, you're going to learn that lesson. When you do, you won't just be walking, you'll be running just like that baby. So it's not about surviving the adversity. It's about learning through the adversity. So when you face adversity, take it as a lesson for a much, much brighter tomorrow if you look at it the right way. You can't get so caught up in fighting the battle, though, that you forget to go to the source of your strength. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we look like warriors, right? And we get out there with a plan and a mission, and, man, we're ready to go, and we're not going to stop. And we do all the things that I just mentioned before, right? But we're so caught up and focused on the battle that we forget to go to the one who's going to fight it with us, right? Or the one who brought it into our lives, or to the source of our strength. I often think about Elijah in the Bible. I love the story of Elijah because I can relate to, his life in that, he was such a warrior. He was so zealous. And the miracles he got to see firsthand, it was unbelievable. And yet there was a point he grumbled. And so First Kings, it says, so he got up and he ate and drank. Strengthened by that food, he traveled 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. He lost it, right? He lost his way. He was battling adversity, and he finally just succumbed to it. But, there are two people, Elijah and Moses in the Bible, that were referred to as great men of zeal. They were passionate about what they were doing. Moses, of course, passionate to free the Jews from, slavery in Egypt, and he did that in front of God in his old age, by the way, even with not every excuse, but he did say, God, you picked the wrong guy, man, I can't speak. And so God gave him Aaron, right? Don't use excuses. But Elijah, even after calling down fire, and one of the most amazing miracles, read about it, it's just fascinating. He called down fire. God brought fire and basically, for all the prophets of Baal to see. And he found himself after this whole miraculous thing. You think he'd be flying high, right? Like I am after this event. You'd think he'd be saying, wow, look at God. But he found himself so spent physically and emotionally that he even asked God to take his life. That was Elijah's greatest virtue was probably his zeal. But what we see is, he would even say, I'm zealous for God, I'm zealous for God, I'm zealous for God. But zeal, unattended, eventually almost becomes a God of its own. You see, it compels us forward toward expectations. Some of them are totally unrealistic and outside of the timing and the plan of God. So to remain balanced, through all the zeal has to be reined in a little bit and harnessed by really strategic encounters with the living God, so you have the strength to do it. In other words, sometimes your focus can be so much on the battle that you're going through that you lose sight of how you're supposed to win it after all, right? So, sometimes we lose that balance and we forget where we need to go. Otherwise, we become frustrated if we don't do that. We become frustrated with the circumstances, with the people. We get discouraged by delays. I need to keep reining myself in for that very purpose with this event. I could see it. I was passionate. I know what God wants me to do, and obstacle and adversity, and obstacle and adversity. And if when I didn't rein myself in and say, wait a minute, it's not the event I'm shooting for. It's pleasing my God I'm shooting for. So if I want to do that, I got to go to him and get his strength, right? So we can get so frustrated, just like Elijah did, and crumble up in a ball and say, I can't go on. We step outside of our place and our strength and our spiritual protection and go off on our own wills. We can't do that. Many of us become so consumed with those battles, again, that we're no longer aware of the one that brought the battle and will see us through. So don't be a warrior, be a warrior, right? And you've got to do that in a couple of different ways. Number one, you need to change your negative thoughts to positive ones. And we've heard that. We hear it almost every day on these calls. But, folks, sometimes we isolate the messages that we get. You see, sometimes you can be on these calls and you get the focus of the business and you start applying these certain principles, to your business. So in this case, maybe it's, I need my why and I need my vision board and I need to think about those things I'm trying to achieve. And then there are lots of other areas in your life where you're not applying the same principle. We're going to face adversity. You ain't getting out of this life without it, and I'm not either. And I think sometimes, sometimes God brings a lot of it to me because he knows I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to tell you about my journey, right? So change your negative thoughts to positive ones. Change what you daydream about. I could have easily thought, oh, my gosh, what if, I could have kind of visualized this farm. What if we don't get the mowing done? What if we don't get this done? All these things, I could have daydreamed about those things and visualized disaster. But instead, I just kept that dream. I could see that barn finished. I could see the fields mowed. I could see the happy, joyful hearts here. I could see us learning. I could see us praising. I could see it all, right? I had to change what I daydreamed about because the adversity was trying to take me south. And again, change your habits. You know, we sometimes will apply on these calls. Maybe we apply a lot to our business, and we change the habits for our business, and then all bets are off when our personal life goes wacko, right? So you change your habits, change what you read. You know, what are you reading? It amazes me. I mean, I talk to lots of people in my life, and you know, I hear them. They do read good, positive things. You know, they start out with the Bible, and they read all these positive. They read Jim Rohn. They read the scrolls. They read so many things to feed into themselves. You know, then they might pick up a good crime novel. I don't know what they pick up, or they might turn on TV and just see negative. It's like they they've washed out or cancel out all the good they try to do. You got to watch what goes into your head, folks. When it goes into that subconscious mind, all bets are off. So watch what you read, watch what you watch, you know, and understand that it's for every area of your life, not just your business with an adjective. It's every area. Change your friends and change how you talk about yourself with others, and be sure that you don't surround yourself with those warriors or people like I had in my darkest hour saying, just give it up. It's over, right? What good purpose could there possibly be in that? I thank God I didn't take my life at that time, right? So change your friends and change how you talk about yourself. And again, it's not unloving to have boundaries. I don't love the woman any less that was driving me insane with the negative. And when I said, listen, I'm a warrior, not a warrior, I don't love her any less. But for me to do what I knew God set me out to do, I needed to have boundaries. There's nothing unkind about boundaries. And having boundaries doesn't have anything to do with not having love. And so, guys, you know, again, you're going to face adversity. I faced it. We got through it. It was amazing event. And you know, not everything was perfect, I'm sure. But as these things, I look at these things, I'll be able to tell a story right going forward with the event and anything else in my life, because I have grown to see that my greatest lessons, my biggest strength, what makes me who I am today isn't because my life has been sweet. It's because my life has been filled with adversity. And that's where the lessons come in. That's where the wisdom comes in. That's where the strength comes in. And that's where we grow. So that's it for me, folks.
Man. so much information, Lynn. I am so excited about you and what you bring to this call each and every day, and your biblical stories and tying it into true life experience. And guys, that's what it is truly all about. And you know what I love is I love that you pour out your heart, that you show us who the true Lynn is. And I mean, I love that, honey. I appreciate you so much. I can't wait to come to one of your events that maybe I can make next year. I need to start planning for that now, just so we can meet, you know. And plus the fellowship.
For everybody out there, it's Columbus Day weekend every year. And you got to just believe again, right? No, just try, just wait, I'll see you next year. Believe it. I can't wait.
Columbus Day weekend, I'm going to put that on my calendar today. I'm going to make the plan. All right. Hey, we have a few difference makers who are starting to pop up their hands. Would you like to talk with them, Miss Lynn?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Let's start with Mike. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Wade. Morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Mike.
I was at the event this weekend, and she's right. It was spectacular. I mean, absolutely spectacular. And there were challenges. You know, I mean, I had challenges just getting there. But one of the things where she was talking about adversity this morning, part of that I think is God puts that there to just see how committed are we. How committed are we to go there, to be there, to, you know, I mean, yeah, some people got sick, could not come. Other people had other adversities. But sometimes it's a test for us, on a personal level. For me, you know, I had some challenges. You know, can I get there? Can I do that? And it was, you just have to make a, yes, this is so important. I have to be there. I have to be present. And then he honors it. When you get there, the things that you learn, the things that you come away with, the things that you teach, the things that were just there for us, and you and the whole farm and the peace and the quiet and everything that was there with it. It was just so spectacular. Wait, if you don't go next year, you got to be crazy. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. But
Thanks,
you're a good example of that, because you shared some challenges with me, and you said, I just stepped out in faith, and you did. You knew that this is where you needed to be. It wasn't, what good did it do to worry about this and worry about that? You just had to, knew what you needed to do. I share with the group, I know, I don't know where everybody is spiritually, but I know where I am spiritually, and I know who my enemy is. I only have one. So you realize, or you are where I am, you might think lots of them. I only have one. And leading up to this, I was sharing with the group. I said, boy, I got hit everywhere. You couldn't get my spirit, so then I got challenged with my body. I went down into my basement one day, didn't realize that I'd had some water come in from the rain. I slipped on the concrete floor, hit the back of my head, got a mild concussion. Then I went into, I don't remember, a couple of days, a week or whatever later, all of a sudden I feel absolutely fine. Otherwise, I got a fever of 104, and it lasted for a couple of days. And I just said, I don't care. I don't know what that is, but other than the feeling whooped from the high temperature, I just kept on moving, right? Then I dropped a board on my foot, and I split my toe. I definitely needed stitches. I told the group, I said, you know what, I use that kind of super glue stuff you do for wounds, and I just kept going, right? And then last but not least, I got hit with food poisoning. And for days, I was violently ill. But you know what? I knew what was happening. I knew that there was so much good that was going to come out of what God would have me to do, that I just had to fight those battles. And I never said, oh, woe is me, what am I going to do? I got this concussion, oh, woe is me. How am I going to walk? My toes all split open. How am I going to work? I got a fever. I never did any of that, because I knew who my enemy is. And so, Michael, you were a great example of saying, good luck. I'm just going to keep on going. I'm going to go because I know I need to go. So thank you for your words and for all your help, by the way, this weekend, and, for fighting through that adversity.
You're welcome, and I'll be there next year for sure. And like I say, Wade, if anybody who if you can get there, walk, crawl, hitchhike, and I mean that's just where I came from. Is I got to a point where I said, I don't care how I get there. If I have to get out and leave the truck on the side of the road and hitchhike, I'm going to be there, because it's meant for me to be there. And again, for me, it was just God saying, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get there? And I was. Mm-hmm. And I thank you for a spectacular weekend, absolutely spectacular weekend.
Thank you. It's all God and God's farm, and thank you. And everybody made the event. It was just, thank you. It was spectacular. I agree. I can say that because I know I didn't do it right. It was spectacular. Thank you, Michael.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Mike. All right, let's go to another one of our friends, Miss Juanita. Good morning, Juanita. How are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. Wade, thank you so much. And Lynn, thank you. Thank you for A is for adversity. And, as you mentioned, setting boundaries and praying. And I know that, our prayer group has been every day praying for this event for this a good solid month. And we've, behind the scenes, we've talked to you and I and Michael, and I know what Michael went through. And I know that, he'll be the first to say, too, that it was the support of the positive people, our little prayer group, encouraging him to do whatever he needs to do to get up there. And I saw, a big change in Michael, as well as he almost gave up, but he didn't. And so thank you for Michael, for you, being a great witness to me as to what you could do. I know the details of what you fought through to make it up there. And so I just wanted to thank you, Lynn, again for, reminding us to stay around people that are positive and not allow that at all in our lives, and to, God is, it's all here for a great purpose, and that's right. Water is one of them. So thank you for the movement that we're undertaking together, and for your words this morning.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your prayers. And we so appreciate them, and we could sense them, and we can see the victory, after this. And it was just, sometimes, guys, people misread situations. If you don't go to the source of your strength when you're faced with adversity, you might get all mixed up. You know, some people will say, like I could have easily said, gee whiz, I guess I'm not supposed to do this event. I've got a concussion, split my toe open, got food poisoning, had a fever. And I could so easily say, well, I guess I'm not supposed to be doing this. But that is just the opposite. It's when we need to fight so hard. You know, I got to tell you, I mean, my heart was warmed. Again, we had Romy come in. Never. He's such an amazing leader in our company. Not once, if his schedule worked out for him, right, not once did he not come to any event, whether it's at the farm or not, right? He came here the first year, 3 years ago, and he had asked me, you know, what do you want me to talk about? And I said, well, Saturday, I want you guys to all talk about what you've been talking about in the business, whatever that training is right now. On Sunday, it's testimony time. And so Sunday was very rich. We just had an amazing time. And when he and Rose were leaving, he said, we'll be back next year whether you want me to speak or not. Can you imagine a leader like Roby Verdera saying, I'm going to be back to this whether I'm speaking or not? And sure enough, he did. And, of course, he spoke. We saw some miraculous things happen. So this year, you know, he wanted even more of it, of course. He wanted to speak on Saturday. But you have no idea, guys. If you've not been here, you don't know what I'm talking about. But you have no idea what it feels like to have a Romy take a stage to train all of us, to give us his heart. And he started out by saying, this is our favorite event of all. Can you imagine the glitz and the glamour and the events that have taken place out there? And they're wonderful, by the way. But for him to say, this is our favorite place to be, our favorite event of all. What an amazing thing. That comes by prayer. It comes from support. And, guys, if you're wondering, trust me when I tell you there was very intense training. It wasn't just, you know, sitting around a campfire saying kumbaya. There was very intense training. I learned a lot, and I'm very grateful for everybody. Thank you for your prayers, Wanda.
You're welcome, Miss Lynn. And I encourage you to do it, you know, 2 or 3 times a year.
Like, talk to me after recovery.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are going to have. Romy did ask if we would entertain a not a non-business function here, and we're putting that on the books. So the barn's going to be put to good use for many things. But so we'll see what God has. Thank you.
That's funny. It's like asking a woman to have a baby while she's in labor.
Yeah. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about how many kids I want to have when I'm trying to get this one born, right? That's right.
I love it. That's awesome. All right. Let's go to our Georgia Peach. Miss Debbie, how are you?
Good morning, difference makers. Thank you so much for this call. And, oh, my gosh, Lynn, what an incredible woman you are. The vision that you've had with the farm that God gave you. And just how you're repurposing the barn. And I was thinking just a moment ago that, you know, something Romy said, you know, Jesus was born in a barn.
That's right.
That barn is anointed. And I'm sure there are plenty of people. You probably anointed that barn in addition to walking your property. Just to get that event to come across. I'm just so proud to have been a part of it. To be there. As we talked about adversity, I know Mike went through things trying to get there. He was drawn to it. 3 years ago, I was drawn to it and all the different modes of transportation. Heard my story, how I got there, and then how I arranged to get back to the airport. So
I not only have heard your story, sweet friend, I love you dearly. I have shared your story so many times about, don't talk to me about it's hard to get there or whatever, because you were such a beautiful example of that. When you got here the first year and told me, I'm like, what? You went through all of that? I mean, I just couldn't even imagine what you went through. And you have, you just knew you needed to be here. You've been an incredible encouragement to me. I just thank you so much for all that. I really do. And you're right. You know, guys, you just have to be here. I don't know. It's hard for me to speak because people think, well, it's because you live there. But honestly, I've said this before. I pray. It's 22.5-acre farm, and I pray the boundary lines of this farm every single day. And I ask for peace and that God would reveal himself here. And you know what? It's almost table. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Thank you, sweet friend. I love you dearly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your vision and the opportunity to come. And, of course, I will be there next year. I'm going to put it on my calendar, too. It's not going to be, am I going to be here or there? I'm going to be there.
Right. Make it happen. That's right. Yeah. Anytime people say, well, I'm going to try to do this, or I think it's not going to happen. It's like saying, I'm going to try to lose 20 pounds. Really? You got to say, I am losing 20 pounds, right? And so you've got to make it happen. And I know you'll be here because, after your first year, I was like, that girl, I have bragged you up so much. You have no idea.
Well, thank you very much. And just on keeping a note on Ambassador Adversity, we've all gone through a lot of trials. You've certainly had more than your share. But as you were talking about adversity, it started bringing back all the things that have gone through my life and adverse situations that I've sustained. But and I know you are too. This is all about looking for the silver lining. What does God want me to learn from this? I'm not stopping. God has a plan for this. What do you want me to take away from this? And so I'm a silver lining person.
Well, aren't we all?
So
we can't get away from it. I mean, again, you think about a baby, fall down, bust their lip, get back up, fall down. But the greatest lesson was they learned to walk. And after they learn to walk, they learn to run, right? And so that's the way it is with us. Adversity is our greatest teacher. We like to run from it and hope it never happens, but it's actually our greatest teacher. So I love it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Love you.
Thank you. You too. Love you too.
Thank you, Miss Debbie. All right. Mike, pop your hand back up again. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Wade, one of the other things I was going to point out is when Romy was there and he was talking, he was saying the first year that he came to the event, they actually got there and got to his hotel, but they got late. They wound up sleeping in their car in the parking lot of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me that is an adversity, and you're still doing that at who he is and at the things that he's achieved in the business, and he sleeps in the parking lot in his car.
Exactly.
Just be at the event. I mean, what an incredible story. What an incredible opportunity to show other people that it doesn't matter. You can still be there.
That's so great. I'm so glad you brought that up because, it was actually his second year. And, we were all just so moved. And he's just smiling, that Romy smile, and Rose was sitting there smiling her smile, and they were talking about they slept in the car and didn't get much sleep. They drove from another event that happened in New York and pretty much almost drove all night, and that's how they lost the room or whatever. Slept in the car, came here, and the rest is history. We went into the barn for the first time, that year. And that's when he was like, wow, this is so awesome. He could see the vision. He could see, the richness of it. And you're right. I mean, you look at this business, that'll feed me the rest of my life. To have a leader like that would say, I sleep in my car. It doesn't matter. That's who I want to be. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great thing to bring up.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were all talking about, different things from the event. So, yeah, like I said, it was just spectacular. And all the little tidbits of information that came from each and every person that shared. And it was just Bill Power and the porch talk, on Saturday afternoon and all that was just awesome. You couldn't pay enough money to get that kind of training.
No, you really couldn't. Not from business standpoint, the training that was there and everything else. But yeah, that was a really cool thing. We decided, actually the brainchild of Marilyn, who's like my right arm in this thing, but she said, hey, instead of just having somebody stand up on it, you just kind of sit in rockers and ask them questions. And, Bill Powers has been here. He came to the first event in Virginia we had, and he's traveled this whole vision through. And, most of you know him, from his quote-unquote cancer story. But his spiritual story, it's just now starting to be revealed publicly, right, is a massive testimony. So the big C these days isn't the big cancer, it's big Christ. And so that was so amazing to bring that forth. So we'll be doing that every year. That's how we become encouraged, when we hear the journey of another person. That's why you hear mine. I want to encourage you. I don't need to whine. I'm victorious. But that's how we encourage one another, is sharing the journey that we've been through and the God that God